They promised us immortality. Scientists claim we're just decades away from defeating aging. Headlines screaming that the first person to live to 1,000 has already been born. But here's what nobody's telling you. Every single breakthrough in longevity research has revealed something far more terrifying than death itself. And the closer we get to extending life, the more we discover that mortality isn't a bug in our biology, it's the feature that makes us human. What I'm about to show you will change how you see every remaining day of your existence. Because the war against death, we've already lost it. We just don't know it yet. Let's rewind. Humanity has been obsessed with cheating death since the moment we became conscious enough to realize it was coming for us. The Epic of Gilgamesh, written 4,000 years ago, tells the story of a king desperately searching for eternal life. Alchemists spent centuries trying to create the philosopher's stone. Ponce de Leon literally sailed across an ocean hunting for the fountain of youth. But something changed in the last 2 decades. The fantasy became a forecast. The dream transformed into a data-driven mission. In 2013, Google launched Calico Labs with a single audacious goal: to solve death. Jeff Bezos has poured money into Altos Labs, a company recruiting Nobel Prize winners to research cellular rejuvenation. Peter Thiel has openly said he wants to live forever. Brian Johnson is spending $2 million annually to biohack his body into reverse aging. The message became crystal clear. Death is no longer inevitable. It's just another problem waiting to be disrupted. And for a moment, it felt believable. Scientists successfully reversed aging in mice. We mapped the human genome. CRISPR gave us the power to edit DNA like software code. Senolytics promised to clear out damaged cells. Metformin, rapamycin, NAD+ boosters. Suddenly, there was a pharmacological cocktail that might extend our health span by decades. The narrative was intoxicating. Death isn't natural, it's a disease, and diseases can be cured. But here's where the story gets uncomfortable. Every organism on Earth is engaged in a silent war, not against predators or the environment, but against itself. It's called antagonistic pleiotropy, and it's why defeating death was always impossible. Let me explain. Your body isn't designed to last forever because evolution doesn't care about forever. It cares about reproduction. The same genes that make you vibrant and fertile in your 20s are the exact genes that cause cancer, inflammation, and degeneration in your 60s. They're doing double duty, and you can't switch off the bad without losing the good. Take the p53 gene. It's called the guardian of the genome because it stops damaged cells from becoming cancerous. Sounds great, right? Here's the problem. As you age, p53 becomes overactive. It starts killing healthy cells, accelerating aging, causing tissue breakdown. So you've got a choice: die of cancer young or fall apart slowly. Pick your poison. All consider mTOR, the cellular pathway that controls growth and metabolism. Suppressing it through drugs like rapamycin extends lifespan in lab animals. But mTOR also regulates your immune system. Dial it down too much and you become vulnerable to infections, wounds that won't heal, muscles that waste away. You might live longer, but in a state of profound weakness. This is the trap nobody talks about. Biology isn't linear. It's a web of trade-offs, compensations, and compromises. Pull one thread to extend life, and 3 others unravel. The systems that keep us alive are the same systems that ensure we eventually die. And then there's the Hayflick limit. Your cells can only divide about 50 times before they hit a wall. Their telomeres, protective caps on chromosomes, shorten with each division until the cell either dies or becomes senescent, a zombie cell that poisons everything around it. Scientists thought extending telomeres might be the key, but when they did it in mice, the animals developed aggressive cancers. Because cancer cells love immortality. They're already using the same tricks we're trying to replicate. Let's say we solve biology. Let's say we somehow hack our way past antagonistic pleiotropy, reprogram our cells, eliminate cancer, and extend human lifespan to 200, 500, maybe 1,000 years. Now we face a problem nobody's prepared for. The human mind wasn't built for immortality. Your brain evolved to operate on a timescale of decades, not centuries. Memories aren't infinite storage drives. They're constantly being overwritten, consolidated, forgotten. Studies show that by age 80, most people have lost detailed recollections of their 20s and 30s. Now imagine living for 500 years. What happens to your identity when you can't remember your first century of life? Are you still you? Or are you a ship of Theseus, replacing every plank until nothing original remains? Psychologists call it the finite pool of worry. Humans can only care deeply about a limited number of things at once. When you live for 30,000 days, your brain prioritizes, creates narratives, finds meaning in the arc of beginning, middle, and end. But stretch that to 300,000 days, 3 million days. The narrative collapses. Relationships become disposable. Everything blurs into a monotonous hum. There's a reason why stories have endings. Why does music have final notes? Why the sunset is beautiful, precisely because it doesn't last. Meaning requires boundaries. Without death, time becomes infinite, and infinite time makes every moment worthless. Philosopher Bernard Williams explored this in his essay, The Macropolos Case, analyzing a fictional character who becomes immortal and eventually finds existence unbearably tedious, not because terrible things happen, but because nothing really matters anymore. Desire fades. Ambition becomes pointless. When you have forever, why do anything today? This is the paradox. We think we want more time, but what we actually want is meaningful time, and meaning is born from scarcity. But let's keep going. Suppose we crack both biology and psychology. We extend life and somehow maintain mental vitality. Now society faces an existential math problem. The global economy is built on turnover. People are born, they work, they retire, they die. Resources, jobs, and wealth circulate. But what happens when nobody dies? When the same people occupy the same positions for centuries? Imagine applying for a job and being told the position won't open up for another 80 years. Imagine trying to start a business when every industry is dominated by 300-year-old companies with 300-year-old CEOs who've accumulated insurmountable advantages. Imagine waiting for political change when senators and presidents serve not for decades, but for multiple centuries. Their ideologies calcified from a world that no longer exists. The young wouldn't just face a glass ceiling, they'd face a diamond one, unbreakable and eternal. And then there's resource scarcity. Earth currently supports 8 billion people. If everyone stopped dying of old age, the population would explode. We're already straining freshwater supplies, agricultural systems, and energy grids. Add billions more immortal humans, and the entire planet becomes a pressure cooker. Wars wouldn't be fought over ideology anymore. They'd be fought over the right to continue existing. Who gets access to life extension technology? The rich, obviously, which means the gap between the immortal elite and the mortal masses becomes the defining inequality of human civilization. You wouldn't just be born into poverty, you'd be born into death. This is the nightmare hiding beneath the dream. Immortality for some requires mortality for others. The math doesn't work any other way. Here's the final twist, the one that seals the argument. Evolution works through death. Every generation, the less adapted organisms die off, and the better adapted ones survive to reproduce. This brutal filter is why life has thrived for 8 billion years, adapting to ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, and countless environmental shifts. But take away death, and evolution stops. Immortal organisms don't need to adapt because they never face selection pressure. They become static, frozen in biological time. And when the environment changes, and it always changes, they can't respond. This isn't speculation. We see it in nature. Bristlecone pine trees can live for 5,000 years. They're virtually unchanged since the Pleistocene. Meanwhile, annual plants go through dozens of generations in the same time span, constantly adapting, evolving, surviving in conditions that would kill those ancient pines. Humanity's strength has never been longevity. It's been adaptable. Our short lifespans force us to pass knowledge to the next generation, who then improve upon it. Each generation questions the assumptions of the last, tears down outdated structures, builds something new. Progress happens because the old guard eventually dies off, making room for fresh perspectives. Immortality doesn't preserve humanity, it freezes it. We become a museum exhibit of what we once were, unable to change, unable to grow, ultimately unable to survive the challenges ahead. Death isn't the enemy of life, it's the engine. So here we are. The end of death was always a lie. Not because we can't extend lifespan incrementally. We can, and we are. But because true immortality collides with the fundamental architecture of biology, consciousness, society, and evolution itself. Every system breaks down when you try to remove death from the equation. And maybe that's okay. Maybe the real problem isn't that we die, but that we've convinced ourselves death is the enemy. We've spent so much energy fighting mortality that we forgot to ask a more important question. What makes life worth living? It's not the length, it's the depth, the richness, the intensity of knowing that every moment is unrepeatable, that every goodbye might be the last one, that the people we love won't be here forever, so we'd better love them now, fully, without reservation. Death gives life texture. It transforms the ordinary into the sacred. It makes courage possible, because risk only exists when something can be lost. It makes love profound, because attachment only matters when separation is real. It makes art urgent, because we create knowing we won't be here to see the distant future. The billionaires chasing immortality aren't trying to defeat death. They're trying to escape the consequences of being human. But being human is precisely what makes existence meaningful. The limitations, the fragility, the ticking clock that forces us to decide what matters and what doesn't. So instead of asking how to live forever, maybe we should ask how to live well, how to be present, how to savor the fleeting beauty of a world that changes precisely because nothing in it lasts. How to make peace with the fact that we're temporary and that temporary is enough. Because, in the end, death isn't a tragedy. The tragedy is living as if we have forever, wasting the only thing that's actually limited today. The end of death was always a lie. But the truth is infinitely more beautiful than the fantasy. These are your limited days. So, stop waiting. Stop putting things off. Stop living like there's a second chance coming. There isn't. This is it. And that's not a curse. It's a gift.